Bonjour, this is our notes for the imperfect tense, l'imparfait, formation. Starts on page 8. In French, as in English, people use different tenses to talk about the past. The most common past tense is the passé composé, which you have been using. Another frequently used past tense is l'imparfait, or the imperfect. The French sentences below, the verbs are in the imperfect. So here are some examples of how we use the imperfect in French. Où est-ce que tu habitais avant? Which means, where did you live before? So in this case, habiter means did live. J'habitais à Bordeaux. I used to live in Bordeaux. So habiter means used to live in this case. Qu'est-ce que vous faisiez à 6 heures? What were you doing at 6? So faisiez here means were doing. Nous finissions nos devoirs. We were finishing our homework. Finition in this case means were finishing. Usually, the imperfect corresponds to English was or were or used to. So, for example, you don't have to write these down, but some other examples. Je mangeais quand le téléphone a sonné. I was eating when the phone rang. So that's an example of a was or were situation. Or je jouais dans le bac à sable. I used to play in the sandbox. So that's an example of a used to case for the imperfect. The imperfect is a simple tense, meaning that it consists of one word. The passé composé consists of two words as a composed tense. It is formed as follows. You take an imperfect stem and add imperfect endings. So this will be similar to the present tense of er, ir, and re verbs, where you take a stem and add endings. Every verb, except for être, the imperfect stem is derived as follows. So you take the new form of the present tense verb and drop the ons at the end, and that gives you the imperfect stem. And then to the stem you add the imperfect endings. Those are ais for je, ais for tu, ait for il, elle, on. All three of those sound like a at the end. Ions or ion for nous, iez, ie for vous, and aient, a for il, elle, plural. So the first three and the last all sound like a at the end. And then you have ion and ea for nous and vous. So here's some examples for er, ir, re, and irregular verbs in the imperfect. So let's start off with a regular er verb, and we're going to use parler. There's our infinitive. Parler is to talk. Sorry, there's a dog in the background. The present nous form is nous parlons. You would take off the er and add ons to get nous parlons. So the imperfect stem, we drop the ons and really just get parl. So if you take out that middle step for er verbs only, you could just drop the er really. And then we would add our endings. So if you wanted to say I was talking or I used to talk, je parlais. You used to talk, you were talking. Tu parlais. Il, elle, on parlait. He, she, one was talking or used to talk. Nous parlions. We were talking. We used to talk. Vous parliez. Y'all used to talk or were talking. And il, elle parlait. Aient. Okay. For ir verbs, our example is going to be finir. Finir is to finish. For ir verbs, take off the ir and add issons to get your new form. So your stems for ir verbs, really you drop the ir and add iss. So our forms here, je finissais, I was finishing, I used to finish. Tu finissais, il, elle, on finissait, nous finissions, vous finissiez, and il, elle finissent. Finissez. Remember never to say your ent at the end of an il, elle verb. For re verbs, our example is vendre. Vendre is to sell. For RE verbs, drop the RE and add ONS to get your new form. So our stem is just VEND for this one. So for RE verbs, just like ER verbs, really all you're doing is dropping the two last letters, ER or E. And here are our forms. Je vendais, tu vendais, il, elle, on vendait, nous vendions, vous vendiez, il, elle, vendait. This pattern works with every verb, even irregular verbs. The only exception is être. We'll look at that later. So for our regular verb example, we're going to do the verb faire. Faire is to do or to make. The new form of faire is fassion. If you ever need to find a new form of an irregular verb, just look on the irregular verb poster, and that's the fourth form. It ends with ONS. So we take off the ONS. Our imperfect stem is fait, F-A-I-S. So our imperfect for faire is je faisais, I was doing, or I used to do. Tu faisais, il, elle, on faisait, nous faisions, vous faisiez, and il, elle faisait. So this pattern applies to all verbs, like I said. The only exception is être. So let's look at some examples here. First one we're going to look at is avoir. Avoir, the new form is nous avons. Take off the ONS, and so just for an example, we have our je form. J'avais would be I was having or I used to have. Aller, our new form is allons, so our stem would be A-L-L, and the imperfect for je would be j'allais, I was going or I used to go. Sortir is nous sortons, drop the ONS. Je sortais, I used to go out or I was going out. For acheter is nous achetons, take off the ONS. J'achetais, I was buying, I used to buy. That dog needs to shut up, seriously. Manger, nous mangeons. Remember you had that E in there for GER verbs. So je mangeais, I was eating or I used to eat. Lire, to read. Nous lisons. So je lisais, I was reading or I used to read. Écrire, nous écrivons. Take off the ONS. J'écrivais, I was writing or I used to write. Prendre is nous prenons, so take off the ONS. Je prenais, I was taking or I used to take. Voir, nous voyons. Take off the ONS. Je voyais, I was seeing or I used to see. Boire, nous buvons. We are drinking. Take off the ONS. Je buvais, I was drinking, I used to drink. So this works for all of our verbs. This is just the pattern. So once you know the pattern, you can work with any verb in the imperfect. There's a few expressions I'm going to give you all here for the imperfect. Il y a is the phrase there is, there are. So the past there was or there were, very important in your storytelling and talking about describing in the past, is il y avait. So for example, il y avait un oiseau dans l'arbre. There was a bird in the tree. So il y avait is the imperfect of il y a. For il pleut, it is raining. The imperfect is il pleuvait. It was raining, or it used to rain. Il pleuvait toute la journée. It was raining all day. And the last one, il neige becomes il neigeait in the imperfect. It's snowing and then it was snowing. Il neigeait. Il neigeait pendant les vacances. It was snowing during vacation. All right, if you turn the page, let's talk about our one and only exception to the imperfect, and that is être. Être is the only verb in French which the new form does not end with an ONS, and hopefully you know by now that is nous sommes, for we are. So this is the exception. The imperfect of être has the irregular stem e, so e with an accent t. Really, you do pronounce that T. All the endings are regular, so you had your AIS, AIS, AIT, IONS, IEZ, AIENT. So here are your forms of the verb être in the imparfait. J'étais, I was. Tu étais, you were. Il était, elle était, on était. He was, she was, or one was. Nous étions, we were. Vous étiez, y'all were. And ils, elles étaient, they were. It's a very, very common verb in the imparfait. So it's a good one to know. So here's some examples of when to use être, when not to use être in the imparfait. Did I miss that slide here with the directions? Hold on. I think I may have my slides out of order. Yeah. Oops. Oop. Go back. Go back. Sorry. Hold on. This computer's slow. No. Sorry. You're probably laughing right now. Okay. So the imperfect of être is used to describe location, description, or motion. It is not used to describe what people were doing. That's an action verb. And so, like, I was playing would be je jouais. You don't use être for that one. So here are some examples of those. The imperfect of être would be used in these cases. J'étais chez moi. I was at home. Elle était malade. She was sick. Ils étaient heureux. They were happy. So those are some examples of location, description, emotion. Again, it's not used to describe what people were doing. So here's the imperfect of an action verb. J'étudiais. I was studying. In this case, étudier is both of the words was studying in English. Don't try to use j'étais because it does say I was in English. It's really j'étudiais. Elle regardait la télé. She was watching TV. Ils jouaient aux cartes. They were playing cards. So again, only use the imperfect of être when you're talking about just a was, not an action. Was or were. Okay? And now that's the end of our imperfect formation notes.